Bill? I'll get a chair. I'll get it.
Good evening. I'm Bill Westholm, the principal of Denfeld High School, and welcome to graduation for year 2002. Before we start tonight, I have one bit of rather sad news to pass along. This morning, George Holliday, principal of Denfeld High School from 1991 to 95, and the principal before I came here, passed away unexpectedly at his home at the age of 63. George was a good friend of mine and of many staff and of many community members, and I'm sure many of you knew him who are sitting in the audience tonight. He was a graduate of East High School, but he had a special love for Denfeld. At a couple of graduations, I know, George stated that Denfeld was more than a school, it was a way of life. Would you please stand for a moment of silence in memory of George and his family? Thank you. Before we start, I will introduce Counselor Ellie Martin, and I think George and I were on the committee that hired Ellie, to read a piece that George was going to read at graduation a few years ago.
This is a poem entitled Trust You'll Treat Her Well by Victor Buono, written upon his daughter entering kindergarten, and probably this poem captures a lot of the feelings that parents are having here tonight. Dear world, I bequeath to you today one little girl in a crispy dress with two blue eyes and a happy laugh that ripples all day long, and a flash of light blonde hair that bounces in the sunlight when she runs. I trust you'll treat her well. She's slipping out of the backyard of my heart this morning and skipping off down the street to her first day of school, and never again will she be completely mine. Prim and proud, she'll wave her young and independent hand this morning and say goodbye, and walk with little lady steps to the schoolhouse. Now she'll learn to stand in line and wait by the alphabet for her name to be called. She'll learn to tune her ears to the sounds of school bells and deadlines, and she'll learn to giggle and gossip and look at the ceiling in a disinterested way when the little boy across the aisle sticks out his tongue at her. And now she'll learn to be jealous, and now she'll learn how it is to feel hurt inside, and now she'll learn how not to cry. No longer will she have time to sit on the front porch steps on a summer day and watch an ant scurry across the crack in a sidewalk, nor will she have time to pop out of bed with the dawn to kiss lilac blossoms in the morning dew. No, now she'll worry about important things, like grades, and which dress to wear, and whose best friend is whose, and the magic of books and learning will replace the magic of her blocks and dolls. And now she'll find new heroes. For 5 full years now, I've been her sage and Santa Claus and pal and playmate and parent and friend. Now she'll learn to share her worship with her teachers, which is only right. But no longer will I be the smartest person in the whole world. Today, when that school bell rings for the first time, she'll learn what it means to be a member of a group, with all its privileges and its disadvantages too. She'll learn in time that proper young ladies do not laugh out loud, or kiss dogs, or keep frogs in pickle jars in bedrooms, or even watch ants scurry across cracks in the summer sidewalk. Today she'll learn for the first time that all who smile at her are not her friends, and I'll stand on the front porch and watch her start out on the long, lonely journey to become a woman. So, world, I bequeath to you today one little girl in a crispy dress with two blue eyes and a happy laugh that ripples all day long, and a flash of light blonde hair that bounces in the sunlight when she runs. I trust you'll treat her well.
Thank you, Ellie. I know George would want this graduation to be a celebration. He used to use those words, and so it will be tonight. Graduation is special at all schools, but at Denfeld, with its long traditions, its long history, with its ceremony in this historic auditorium, it is particularly meaningful. A quote from Angel Lateral, 1996 graduate, something I read almost every year, captures that unique history and spirit. Down these ancient hallways resides a spirit felt by all who enter. Cloaked in tradition, a living essence breathes within the walls. A sensation of history touches you with every step. For 75 years, students, parents, and community members have gathered in this auditorium to celebrate our students' graduation. We hope you feel some of that tradition and living history, that connection to the past, present, and future as you help these young people, these young men and women, celebrate their graduation. Now, introductions. First, I want to acknowledge the teachers and staff at Denfeld High School who are in attendance. Most of them are over there. Would they please stand? Graduation is special not only for students, but also for our staff. As teachers working with young people, we make more than a professional investment in these young men and women. Because of the hard work necessary to be a good teacher, and it is hard work, this investment is also personal and emotional. We, like you, want to see each one of these young people succeed. Based on what I have observed, both as a principal and as a parent of students in this school, I can assure you that the staff has done everything they can to help these young men and women succeed. Thank you to the staff for their efforts with the class of 2002. Now I would like to introduce our platform guests. I would ask each guest to stand and remain standing as his or her name is read. To my right, Denfeld English teacher and senior class co-advisor, Michelle Helbacher. Denfeld science teacher and senior class co-advisor, Doug Olson. Denfeld counselor, Ellie Martin. Denfeld counselor, Sandy Thorsell. Retiring Denfeld counselor, Thomas Purcell. Retiring Denfeld social studies teacher, Mary Olson. Class speaker, Matt Mobley. Class speaker, Tara Shapersky. And class speaker, Lacey Farmer. Assistant principal, Cher Obst. And next to my chair, Superintendent of Schools, Julio Almanza. Assistant Principal, Tanya Sconyers. School Board Member, Mike Ackervik. School Board Member, Gary Kraus. School Board Member Robert S. Mars, Jr. School Board Member Dorothy Newman. And School Board Member Harry Welty. Thank you all for being here tonight. would now call on Doug Olson, who will welcome the class of 2002.
Excuse me. Good evening, seniors. Oh, come on. I had half of you in class. Good evening, seniors. Congratulations. Have a great life. You thought that was it, huh? That would have been the shortest commencement speech in the history of Denfeld High School if I had stopped. And it would have been the longest 15 seconds of silence in a commencement speech in the history of Denfeld High School. 15 seconds. A short time, but so long for some of you. I know you were sitting out there. At 5 seconds, you wondered, is he okay? At 10 seconds, you thought, what's going to happen to him? Come on, get on with it. At 15 seconds, you were downright ticked off. This is my graduation, Olson. Come on, let's start the show rolling. Come on. You know, it was so long that I don't think any of you didn't start to pay attention. Even those of you who checked out 6 months ago mentally, I got your attention. In fact, you might have even had a chance to come up with some original thoughts. Like, I wonder if he's ever experienced hat hair. Or, was he the original poster child for Rogaine and something just went wrong? Or maybe I came up with a thought that said, you know, I've been wondering this for 3 years now since physical science in 9th grade. Did he really mean to blow up that hydrogen bottle and break the light in the ceiling? That was your perspective. But for me, that was some of the sweetest and most peaceful time that I've ever spent in front of you. I had time to wonder, man, is this what it would have been like if I could have controlled my classroom like Mr. Phillips? See, 15 seconds. It's simple, it's short in one way, it's long in another. Einstein put it this way. I mean, I'm a science teacher. I have to quote Einstein, right? And every good graduation speech has to have a famous quote in it. He said this, if I sit on a stove for 1 minute, it seems like an hour. If I sit up next to a pretty girl for an hour, it seems like a minute. See, what Einstein knew and what he proved to the world and made him famous was this. Everything is relative. That's relativity. He proved that it depends on the context and the perspective from which you're looking. See, for me, I look out at you, I try to look out at you anyway. I mean, the glare off my head must be amazing out there. I look out at you and I think, you know, it was only a short time ago in my life that I stood before this class and welcomed you as freshmen to Denfeld High School. But maybe for you it was a little bit longer. But you were freshmen just a short time ago and the scene went something like this. Good morning, class. Hey, good morning, Mr. Olson. How are you? All right, Fidget, just calm down a little bit, would you? Okay, calm down's my middle name. I can do that. Okay, today we're going to talk about chemistry in your life. You know, have you ever experienced chemistry in your life? Hey, did you see that bird hit the window out there? Was that chemistry? No, Fidget, that wasn't chemistry quite. But tell me something, have you ever experienced chemistry in your life? Pick me! Okay, Fidget, tell me about chemistry in your life. Well, I was at my friend's house last weekend, and we were at tacos, and the beans, they really got good gas, and he had a match. Okay, Fidget, thanks for sharing, but... See, that was just a blink of a second for me. But for you, it seems like a long time ago. In fact, I think I heard some of you speaking, although it was a long time ago, you still sound like that sometimes. I think I heard that on the track bus just the other day. But for you, perhaps these past 4 years have seemed like eternity. You weren't sure your senior year would ever end. And sometimes I wasn't sure your senior year would ever end. Especially when I saw scenes like this. Good morning, class. Good morning, class. Hey, Fidget, is anybody home? Dude, did he say something? But now you're here. You're here ready to walk across the yellow brick road. It's nice that they put this path here for you. You've changed so much, though. I've seen this change. I've seen it in you. From some of you boys who went from pubescent teens whose voice crackled every time you opened your mouth, to grown men with resounding confidence. Well, not all of you. Some of your voices have changed, but you seem to be suspended in some eternal pubescence. But others, you women, you've gone from these little girls who came up on stage the first year you came across and were scared to death, to women that are confident and are going to light up this stage when you walk across tonight. Others from sneaky kids that I couldn't trust with a chunk of wax. But now I trust with my life. All in what seems like just a moment for me. And for some of those sitting here, your grandpas, your grandmas, your aunts and uncles, it seems even faster than for me. But for you, perhaps a bit longer. I heard some of you saying this year, man, I just can't wait till it's over. This thing is dragging on. I just want to get out of high school. But you know what? Some of you same people that said that throughout the year, I heard you saying this. I can't believe it's already done. Just this past few weeks. I can't believe it's already done. And as you walk across this stage tonight, your perspective having changed just a little bit from long to shorter time. Those 4 years are getting shorter. And the next 4 years are going to be the same. And the next 4, and the next 4, and the next 4, and the next... I haven't gotten to those 4 yet, but I'm assuming it'll be kind of the same pattern. So take what you've been given here at denfeld. Even if you didn't like it all, take it and grasp it, and go out and do something really valuable for your life. It's not always the same for everybody. Go and do something valuable for your life, so that 30 years from now, when you look back, you're not trying to still live in that short time frame, because it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Whether it seemed like forever or just a short time, it was a real honor for me to be part of it, and I think for all of us here. And on behalf of Ms. Harbaka and I, as your class advisors, I want to thank you for the privilege. And I wish you all the best, and congratulations.
Well, he just made everything I'm going to say really boring, but...
Thanks.
And now our second co-advisor, Michelle Helbaka, is going to say a couple of things. Michelle?
Good evening. I'm Michelle Helbaka. Along with Doug Olson as senior class advisors, we have certainly discovered it's a two-person job. Congratulations to the class of 2002, but I'm not going to speak to the seniors this evening. It's my pleasure to speak on behalf of the class of 2002. Our senior class officers thought for a long time about a gift that they would like to leave behind in memory of the class of 2002. And they have finally decided to purchase banners for the new light standards out in front of the gym doors over by Public School Stadium. The banners, of course, are maroon and gold. There's a set of banners for each standard. On the left, it says Duluth Denfeld High School, and on the right, it says Home of the Hunters. So, seniors, when you come back maybe for homecoming, or as Vuk suggested today, maybe someday you'll come here to watch your own children at Denfeld High School. You'll see those banners, and hopefully you'll have some great memories of your times at Denfeld High School. So we present these banners to Denfeld, and congratulations, seniors.
Thank you, Michelle and Doug. I want to welcome our first class speaker of the evening, Tara Shapersky, whose talk is entitled Experiences.
First off, I would like to congratulate the graduating class of 2002 for making it to such a pivotal moment in our lives. Aldous Huxley once said, "Experience is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you." Now this quote represents the correlation between what has happened to us and what we will do in our futures. Now how many times have we heard, "This will prepare you for college," or "You need this to survive in the real world," or my personal favorite, when something awful happens, "This will just help you realize that life is not fair." Well, as much as I hate to admit it, all these things are true. Everything that has happened to us over the past 17 to 19 years in our lives has played a role in preparing us for life beyond high school, whether it be furthering our education, working, or raising a family. And we have learned from everything that has happened to us, good and bad. We all have one great accomplishment in common. We're all graduating from high school, and we will take everything we did to get to this point and use it to succeed in our futures. And we have also learned from our mistakes and hardships. If we made an inane decision and suffered as a result of it, or we dissolved a great friendship, we learned from it. I believe Billy Joel said it best when he spoke to Fairfield University, when he explained, "Out of respect for the things that I was never destined to do, I learned that my strengths are a result of my weaknesses. My success is due to my failures, and my style is directly related to my limitations." You know, it's kind of like taking your driver's test. Okay, picture this, you just turned 16, and you're bragging to all your friends about the license test you have after school. And of course, they're all giving you tips, but you already know you're going to pass it. Well, then you have to come to school the next day and explain to everyone that you don't really have your license yet, but you do have another test in 2 weeks. So with help from your parents, you practice every day until that test. And when you take it the second time, you pass. From that failure, with a little practice, came success. Oh, and one great life lesson, don't hit the orange cones. Now let's touch on our strengths and weaknesses. Let's face it, we're not all athletically inclined, but we learn from those weaknesses, and from them came our strengths. We joined other great activities at Denfeld, such as choir, music, and art, speech, or possibly we just became the most avid sports fans Denfeld has to offer. We have drawn knowledge of our strengths, weaknesses, and limitations from everything that we have gone through so far in our lives. Now, according to Huxley, experience is not what has happened to us. It's what we will do with it in our futures. So I challenge you, take everything from Denfeld, good and bad, and do something great with it.
Nice job. Thank you. Thank you, Tara. The combined concert choir and faculty chorus, directed by Mr. Mark Overland, will now sing Prayer of St. Francis. Thank you to the choir and to Mr. Overland. Our second class speaker of the evening is Lacey Farmer. Her talk is entitled, Any Path on the Map.
Wow, this is it, and we made it. This year could be summed up with drugs, sex, and rock and roll. But despite all the drama about who has the same prom dress as you, who stole your boyfriend or your girlfriend, the gossip, the rumors, who scored the most points on the game on Friday, who got the lowest grade on their test, who's having a bad hair day, and all the other things that are small and don't matter in life, we managed to come together as a family and create memories that will never be forgotten. There were many highs and few lows, but we learned that the key to life is to make the best of what you have to create lifelong memories and a good future. And the class of 2002 did just that. As an involved senior, I have seen just about everything. I have seen kids change from anti-school to becoming a part of Denfeld by attending bonfires, football games, homecoming activities, to participating in dress-up day, going to dances and hearing Billy Ray Cyrus shout "Achy Breaky Heart," joining sports, clubs, and other activities. I have seen students go above and beyond the call of duty and go out into the community to help. But one thing that is different at Denfeld than any other high school is the tradition we have. You, the student body, is what keeps that alive. High school is one big memory and preparation for the future. High school is a short road with a big turn ahead. We haven't traveled that far, but there's a long road in front of us. Take any path on the map. It's a choice only you can make. Each of us has lots of things in common through our high school years, but tonight, that will all change. In about 5 minutes, when we change our tassel from undergraduate to successful graduate, we will be changing our values, standpoint, and you will have to decide which path to take. Whether you choose to go to college, start working, or just relax, high school has given us all the basics and knowledge to make that decision and become whoever you want to be. Now the choice is yours. Which road will you take? You can pick any path on the map. I see 250 students in front of me who have made it this far, and each one has the potential to take their life on any path, even one with no tracks in front. It is no coincidence that our class motto by Thoreau is, do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. High school, in all its drama, is a small speed bump in the road, but graduating is where the trip to life really starts. You're the driver. You finally get to pick where you're going. Do you remember when you got your driver's license or you got your first car and you had complete power? That's what I feel tonight. It's scary and it's intimidating to have so many choices and nobody telling us what to do or where to turn. The look to the future is whatever you make of it. We should not look behind us for too long, for our future will end in our blind spot. Tonight, you are being set free, thrown out into the real world. But always remember where you came from. Denfeld, your family will always be here to help. Let's take a second right now to look around us and remember all the memories we have created and cherish them. For tonight, there's a good chance that you will only have 1 or 2 friends that you will ever see again. That's a scary thought, but it's true. If you thought that high school was filled with tough decisions and too many choices, just keep in mind that the roller coaster to life is filled with highs, lows, windy turns and straights, and it's a fast ride, so don't look behind on what are only memories, but live the future with no regrets. I'd like to quote Vuk. He once told me, "Be optimistic in the valley and humble in the peaks." Thank you all for the 4 remarkable years. Good luck in the future, and I will see you all in 10 years where we can share which road you took. So class of 2002, start your engines and prepare for the windy road called life.
The choir will do a second song. Mark reminded me that our accompanist tonight is Jackie LaFave. Her name was not in the program, so thank you, Jackie, for being here. The combined concert choir and faculty chorus will now sing traditional "It's Time for Moving On." Our third class speaker is Matt Mobley, and his talk is entitled, Life's a Journey. Welcome, Matt.
Well, I'd like to start just by congratulating the class of 2002. I know that may seem a little bit redundant, but I truly feel that we've all come a long way and have made a lot of accomplishments in the last 4 years, and I think that we all have some people to thank for helping us along the way, whether it's our teachers, our parents, our friends, or fellow classmates. I'd really like to see a little round of applause go to ourselves and to those who've helped us along the way. Well, 3 weeks ago, I signed up to speak here tonight at graduation, and I had this idea in my head that I should play a song, because I think I just express myself better through music. And as a person, as a musician, and as your classmate, I just thought it would be appropriate for me to do so. I will say, however, that one thing I've learned to appreciate in the last 4 years is expression, and the ways that we express ourselves and why we express ourselves. And I'm talking about just the ways that we carry ourselves down the hallways with our different strides and our different struts, and the way that we sit in class with our different postures. Some of us might be upright and attentive, or some of us might be gazing out the window, possibly taking a nap even. And the ways that we verbalize our different opinions and beliefs, and the way that we express what it is that we believe in. And one thing I see with this class is a lot of diversity in our beliefs, and that not everybody believes the same thing. I think that's healthy for us because it brings a nice mixture of controversy, yet compromise. And one thing I've come to believe in the last 4 years is that life has something different to offer everybody out there. And that life is like a journey, and that each one of us walk our own individual path. And I think that sometime towards the end of our path, we want to be able to look back on our journey and say, yeah, I've seen some of the things I wanted to see in life. I've been to some of the places I wanted to be. I've done some of the things I wanted to do, and of course I've accomplished some of my goals and some of my dreams along the way. And I truly feel that high school is the initiator of our journey, and that in these 4 years we really learn to handle and deal with the situations and challenges that will confront us for many years to come. And in my experience, high school has really helped me open up to who I am and who I want to be along my journey, and who I'm still becoming today and in the days ahead. So I wrote this song for tonight, and I called it Life's a Journey. And I'd like to dedicate it to all the classmates I've had in the last 4 years, those who are here graduating with me tonight, and those who couldn't be here as well. And since I'm not the greatest singer, I asked Dan Travis and Bree Taylor to accompany me on vocals. So this song, it's called Life's a Journey. It goes to you. Thanks for the great 4 years.
I look out to the crowd tonight, wonder where we'll go. I've learned a lot with all of you, but there's so much more to know. Life's a journey in the wind, not a game that we can try and win. Life's a journey, look ahead. Don't say things that you'll regret you've said.
Gather round, my friends, now. Let's talk about the past. Smile in our friendships. Some things will always last. 4 years of our lives now. Put on the bookshelves. So many past memories, but so much up ahead. Life's a journey in the sky. So many things make us ask why. Life's a journey in your head. Try to live up to the words you said, but don't worry about a thing now. Don't you worry about a thing. I know you all, and nothing is gonna hurt you. So go be free. Everything will work out to be alright now. Everything will work out to be alright. Everything will work out to be alright now. Everything will work out to be alright. Life's a journey in the wind, not a game that we can try and win. Life's a journey from the start. Try to find something within your heart. Everything will work out to be alright now. And the road ahead is now in sight. Everything will work out to be alright now. And the future is looking bright.
Thank you. That's one way to keep me from talking, just walk off the stage with all the mics. Well, now it's my turn. And I guess I'll start by saying something that was hinted at by one of the speakers. Well, class of 2002, you're done. And I vividly remember 1966 when I graduated from this school. It really hit me, and I wrote about this in the Criterion, the last issue. When I was walking down the hall to turn in my robe in the cafeteria, I was about where Mr. Debney's room is right now, and all of a sudden, popped into my mind, now what? I knew what I was going to do. I was going to college, but still there were some mixed emotions. And I was ready to move on, but still there were questions and uncertainty. But you are done with your first 13 years of education. And admit it, there are some things you will miss about this place. For example, the auto dialer. I'm tempted tomorrow to load all the senior names into the auto dialer just one more time and send it out, but this time I want you to let your parents answer and tell you it's a wrong number or it's a telemarketer. As I always do, I spend some time thinking about this huge transition, and every year something different pops into my mind. Last year, for whatever reasons, I thought about kindergarten, and I talked a little bit about that transition, then this transition. This year, I was thinking of something, birds popped into my mind. Robins, specifically. And I have to tell you a little story, a true story, in order for that to make any sense at all. Last spring, a pair of robins built a nest on top of a decorative wreath that was just by our front door. And before we knew it, there were 4 eggs in the nest, so we couldn't move it. So here we are, stuck with this nest. We started going in the garage. Anytime we went in, we were very quiet, and before you knew it, the 4 eggs hatched, and we had 4 baby robins, first just little balls curled up, then pretty soon they're picking their heads up, and then they're looking for worms. After a couple of weeks, I guess, they were growing tremendously, and then they were putting their heads up and looking around, kind of curious about what was going on. We knew that probably in another week or so, they were going to take off. They'd be gone. My son Dan, who graduated from here in '99, he was home from the university, and I think we forgot to tell him there was this nest. So we were going to eat supper, and so either my wife or I asked my son Dan, call in his younger brother, Stephen. He went out on the front porch and yelled, "Stephen, come on in!" All 4 birds hopped out of the nest at the same time. And they were in the front yard and they were running around, but only 2 of them could fly even a little bit. And so they were sitting there in the front yard and they were making a lot of noise, and the parents knew something was up, and so they're flying around and standing by him and squawking by him. My son, who's a bit of a naturalist, decided that maybe we should try to do something because they weren't ready to be out of the nest. And because there's dogs and cats and there were crows around the neighborhood, and they'll often prey on baby birds, Dan decided he was going to put them back in their nest. So the parents, he went out there, and I don't know what he had, a fishing net or something, and the parents just attacked him something awful. I thought I was watching a rerun of The Birds by Hitchcock. And they were swooping around him. He was covering his head. He ran back inside. Before he knew it, he put on leather gloves. He put on a hooded jacket. He put on goggles. He looked like some kind of a thing out of a science fiction movie. And he went back out there trying to do something with these robins. And of course, I'm a big help. I'm laughing on the porch, looking for my video camera so I can take a picture of it. Well, he finally caught 3 of the birds, and he put them back in their nest gently 3 different times. Each time they hopped out. Maybe they'd tasted some freedom, and one of the speakers talked about that. Maybe they'd had enough, but they really weren't ready to get out of that nest. And unfortunately, and we tried to keep track of them for a week or so, 2 or 3 of them didn't make it. I think only a couple of them did. What does this have to do with graduation? I don't know, I just needed a story, so I thought I'd tell it. No. Really, the point is that you're a little bit, in a way, and again, maybe one of the speakers alluded to it, like birds, like robins, young robins, you've been kicked out of the nest right now. And even if you don't want to go, you're really far more ready than those unfortunate young robins were. Kindergarten, you were kicked out of the nest a little bit too, with a lot of control and a lot of guidance, but this time you're out almost all the way, and you're going to be pretty much on your own. However, you're pretty well prepared as far as I'm concerned. A few of you still have a few weaknesses, but you've got the tools to do something with those weaknesses. Now it's another end and another beginning. And as I do the last couple of days, I always spend a lot of time watching all of you as you get ready for those last couple of days. Take the tours, you're signing up in the tower, the last bell rings, you're shaking hands, a couple of tears, and you're taking some pictures. This year was pretty mellow, and you really left the school like we asked you to leave it, like it was when you found it, really clean. And then, of course, we had a barbecue outside afterwards. And I really have no complaints except for those doggone cigars that are out in the, I don't know what to do about that one. But on those tours, I actually heard a couple of students who, I didn't know real well, and I'm just eavesdropping as we're walking around. And at first they're saying, oh man, 2 more hours, we're done. As we got towards the end, they stated, maybe I'm not quite so ready to get out of here as I thought. I think you see the history and everything going on. And I think it's a little bit of a realization that for better or worse, you're never going to be part of something quite like this again. And again, one of the speakers talked about how you're probably not going to be as close and see friends as often as you have now, this small city every day that gets going. But as always, I also reflect a little bit on the year and the memories. You've had lots of successes, co-curriculars, athletics, speech, art, academics. I mean, you've really been a very successful class that way. We started with a big homecoming, and of course everybody's excited for that. Oh, by the way, I think the seniors really did win the decorating. A few of you are probably a little overconfident as you got older, and I'll just tell you one quick story. In the wintertime, late winter, the basketball team was going to sponsor a dance, and they needed chaperones, and Mr. Nace was talking to a couple of his seniors, and he said, we need an administrator. One of the seniors volunteered quickly saying, don't worry about it, Mr. Nace, I'll take care of it. BW and I, we're real tight. I'm BW, of course. Mike Throw, there's nothing like a little confidence, is there? MT, give me a call this weekend if you're not doing anything. We can. The outside world, of course, and I'll just talk about one serious thing, touched us too just a couple of days into school. And that, of course, was 9/11. When I was a sophomore here in my memory bank, and this will be in all of our memory banks forever, in my memory bank, I remember being a sophomore in 1963 and coming out of a room on the second floor about to go on some sports thing, and one of my older friends came up to me and said, the president's been shot. And that, of course, was John F. Kennedy. And I still remember that vividly. But I also remember on 9/11 somebody coming in and saying there was something to do with an airplane crashing. And I went into Mr. Crane's room. And many of you, I think, were watching on TV that day. And all of a sudden we watched those World Trade Towers collapsing. And it was almost surreal. It was just almost unrealistic what was happening. For the first time, we had been invaded. Never before. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Had we ever had our sense of security so turned upside down? It had happened other places, but never here before. And now, like other generations, we realize things that are different. We are, and we hear it almost every day, in some kind of a war. It's a different kind of war, but it is war nonetheless. And we had been urged by our government and by our leaders to keep things going as normally as we can. And you all did that, and we tried as hard as we could to do that. But I know it's always in everybody's mind. So things are different. And one of your biggest challenges, and each generation has many, is how do we keep the freedoms we're so used to, the freedom of movement and everything else, in the face of this terrorism and these weapons of mass destruction we keep hearing about. I look to the words of John F. Kennedy, the president who was assassinated in 1964, in his acceptance speech on August 15, 1960, when he stated, and there were crises then too, of course, "We are not here to curse the darkness, but to light the candle that can guide us through the darkness to a safe and sane future." This new challenge of confronting the uncertainties of terrorism in our world is different. But difficult challenges have faced every generation that has walked across this stage. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who in the darkness of World War II told his people and the world, "Give us the tools and we will finish the job." Your efforts as you go out of here to develop some of those tools to confront these evils before us will be needed. And your help will guarantee, to paraphrase Tale of Two Cities opening, which happens at many graduations, that your future will be the best, not the worst of times, and that you will have everything before you. I mentioned to Mrs. Zoller that I was going to talk about this a little bit about 9/11, not dwell on it too long. I didn't want to sound too depressing, and we were just discussing what I could do. She had a good suggestion, and I hope I have it right, Suzanne, if you're here. She thought it would be good for us to use this time as you go out of here as an opportunity to examine who we are exactly, to take a look at the world and what is of value to us, and use this time to start fresh and to rebuild. So now you're done. And as we kick you out of the nest, what final words do I have for you? Well, just a few. The staff who are here, I repeat these ideas almost every year, but I think they're pretty good ones. First of all, many of you, perhaps most of you, have had the foresight and the maturity to squeeze everything you can out of Denfeld High School. Some have struggled, but you've gotten through. A few have slid by and done the minimum. But the fact you've made it here shows that you do have some foundation on which to build when you're going out of here. You don't get a diploma in this town, in this state, for just doing seat time. You, me, all of us up here, we're all unfinished works in progress. And so you'll continue learning during your time outside of Denfeld High School. Second, you'll make mistakes, and I think this was alluded to, but don't dwell on them. Easier said than done. It's easy to dwell on them, but don't dwell on them. Learn from them and move on. Be kind and forgiving of yourself and of others. Conduct yourselves with honesty and integrity, even if it is not the popular thing to do. Third, be nice to yourself. Keep some balance in your life, and that's very difficult in this society. We tend to go too hard sometimes. But keep singing, dancing, talking, listening to music, skiing, whatever it is that keeps you fresh, creative, and alive. We need to do that. Finally, keep your hopes and dreams alive and maintain hope for the future, no matter how dark things become. Hopes and dreams keep us fresh, keep us moving forward. They will help us overcome the trauma of 9/11 and the other challenges that confront you individually and as a group. 2 years ago, to give you one example of how these hopes and dreams are important, several veterans of World War II who never got the chance to sit in those seats where you're sitting now, had been pulled out of Denfeld before graduation to go off to war. But yet they kept their hope alive that someday they could walk this stage and get their diploma. And so we invited some of them back, and it was just an electric evening as these gentlemen, some of whom were fairly feeble at this point, walked across the stage with smiles on their faces and finally completed that dream that they'd had back in 1942, 43, and 44. Hopes and dreams, faith in the future. Seniors, congratulations and best wishes. In a few minutes, you will all be alumni of Denfeld High School. It has been my pleasure to serve as your principal. Superintendent Almanza, upon the recommendation of the Denfeld faculty and in accordance with the requirements of Independent School District 709 in the state of Minnesota, I declare these young men and women have completed the curriculum work necessary for high school graduation. I present the Denfeld class of 2002.
Mr. Westholm, on behalf of the School Board of Independent District 709, its administration, and also on behalf of the staff of Denfeld High School, it is my honor to accept the graduating class of Denfeld High School of 2002. Congratulations. It's almost time. You'll be getting that diploma soon. I'll try to be brief, but in all honesty, it's also the closing for our school district. You are the last class. You are the fourth graduating ceremony that I've attended. And George Holliday was right. In Denfeld, it is more than a high school. It is a community and it is a family. And you have been the beneficiaries of that experience. You have been taught well by your parents, by your aunts and uncles, by your staff here, and they have instilled in you some of those values that continue the history of Denfeld, its tradition, and you are now and will always be a part of this community. This is the end of your childhood and the end of your teenage years and the beginning of your adult experiences. Your classmates have talked very eloquently about those things that you have learned, and I will not repeat them. But as you look toward the future, as they said, draw on the things you have learned here, and you will be successful. I wish I could tell you that we have a more peaceful world for you out there, but we've not been successful as a community and as a nation to do that. Yes, the world is a little bit more dangerous now than before, but with the skills that you have learned and with the values that you have, I know that you will make this community and our nation a better place. Don't sit on the sidelines. Continue to be involved as if you've been in high school, and our world will be better because of you. Finally, I'm going to ask that you raise the lights up because they have one more thing to do before they graduate. So if you could do that. You guys know very well that your success in part was done through all of your efforts, but the other large part really belongs to the whole community that is here to support you, to their teachers that have helped you, and so one of the values that you've learned is to pay homage to them. So I ask you to stand up and give them a round of applause of thank you. Thank you very much. And now, for that moment you've been waiting for, your diplomas.
Now Assistant Principals Cher Obst and Tanya Sconiers will begin the awarding of diplomas. First, Mrs. Obst. Are you going to mention about keeping the cat calls down and all that? Okay.
This is a joyful but solemn occasion. Please hold your applause and calls to the graduates until everyone has received their diploma. Will the class of 2002 please come forward to receive their diplomas? Yep. They're faster than we are. Stephen Abernathy. Patrick Philip Adolphson. Jeremy James Allen, academic letter. Casey Edward Anderson. Jeffrey Allen Anderson. Andrea Nicole Anderson. Russell Carey Anderson. Luke Richard Bannicky, academic letter. Cody Lane Stuberg Barnes. Travis Dean Barrett. Corey Lee Bates. Tanya Nicole Beals. Kristen Mari Beatty. Nathan Robert Beckman. Mario Miguel Bigerano. Iris Ann Beldo, academic letter. Dalen Leslie Belland Forward. Danielle Lynn Bergland. Joshua Christopher Berggren. Marquita Lachey Bester. Anne Lorraine Bebo, academic letter. Philip James Bogolyevich. John Ricky Borich. Leah Faith Boss. Carly Janae Bowman. Brandy Marie Brock. Nicholas Joseph Brock. Erin Marie Carlson, academic letter. Jake Carter. Becky Corrine Charnley. Patrick Allen Christner. Pierce Graydon Conboy, academic letter. Ryan Thomas Conklin. Katie Marie Conley. Daniel Patrick Connell, academic letter 4.0. Darren Richard Davey. Christopher Michael Davies, academic letter. Crystal Michelle Davis. Justin David Davis. Bonnie Lynn Delich. Tyler Rowe Dubla. Daniel Paul Duffy, academic letter. Jeffrey Danaski. Dara Lee Ekstrom. Corey Eider. Eric Lee Elmore. Sarah Jane Enke. Kayleen Marie Fabini, academic letter 4.0. Daniel John Fairchild. Kelsey Michelle Fechner, academic letter. Evan Ryan Fedorchuk. Joshua Stephen Fike. Jonathan Jeffrey Fosley. Dustin Jacob Fosness. Angela Marie Francisco, academic letter. Corey Robert Francisco. Lindsay Christina Folda. Erica Lee Galazin. Nicholas Paul Gerard. Derek E. Gergen. Jennifer Lynn Giroux. Corey James Guitar. Kelly Jean Guitar, academic letter. Jillian Mary Godfrey, academic letter. Jessica Rue Goodrow. Jonathan Harley Gerlewski, academic letter. Kathleen Ann Gustafson. Patrick Charles Hagberg. Robert James Hagelin. Lon Allen Hansen. Lucas K. Hansen. Travis Lee Hansen. Jessica J. Haug, academic letter. Lisa Marie Herrick. Jessica May Holst, academic letter 4.0. Carly Ann Howard. Kristen Michelle Howard. Kendra Alexis Hughes. Dennis Wayne Jacobson III. Stephen Carl Janetta. Robert Joseph Jeanette. William Aaron Jeanette. Brittany Andrea Johnson, academic letter. Desten Lee Johnson. Julie Rose Johnson, academic letter. Katie Ann Johnson, academic letter. Marcus Johnson. Stacy Marie Johnson, academic letter. Ashley Marie Jones, academic letter 4.0. Annette Marie Kadich, academic letter 4.0. Christopher David Keppers. Jonathan Paul Keppers, academic letter. Stephen Daniel Kilby. Matthew Paul King. Melanie Ann Kirschner, academic letter. Brandy Nicole Canese. Katie Marie Coralia. Jordan Paul Korzaneski. Katie Elizabeth Kreidler. Matthew Alexander Kruger. Laura Ashley Laboon, academic letter. Chantrice DeMott Lefebvre. Lamathor Estor Lambio. Kristen Ruth Lammy, academic letter. Ryan Allen Lammy. Jenny Marie Lampier. Daniel Keith LaPlante, academic letter. Lee Eugene Larson. Maria Jo Larson. Corey Lynn LeBrasser. Lindsay Marie Ledeen. Tia Lagatko. Christine Channon Lindberg. Jolene D. Lindgren. Chelsea A. Livingston. Derek J. Lofald.
Harmony April Lombardi. Of course, when I get up here. Gina Marie Lott, academic letter 4.0. Jamie Ann Marchand. Tricia Marie Marzak. Jamie Joanne Marolt. Andrew Charles Mativi. Joey Madsen. Ryan Flynn McCafferty. Crystal Ann McCormick. Margaret Marie McKenzie. Nicole Marie McNamara. John McNeely. Randall Lee Mead. Stephen Lee Mead. Derek Richard Mins. Fallon Christina Malinkovich. Zachary Robert Glenn Middlestead. James Galen Mullick. Marcus Joseph Mullen, academic letter. Samuel Stephen Nemi. Michael Bradley Nielsen, academic letter. Benjamin Adam Nordby. Andrew Paul Nordgren, academic letter 4.0. Ashley Nicole Northey. Lisa Marie Novak, academic letter. Matthew James Nyland. Nicholas Jerome Nyland. Travis Scott Nyland. Jolena Anna Nyquist. Aaron David Oberman. Joseph Aaron O'Brien. Andrea Dawn Oliver. Amanda Teresa Olson. Jordan Lynn Olson. Joshua Wayne Olson. Lori Elaine Olson, academic letter. Kyle Michael Altoff. Jamie Lynn Osborne. Jamie John Ostrom. Anne Marie Parrott. Amanda Lee Peacock. Adam Pedersen. Mariana Barbara Pedisic, academic letter. Sarah Jean Peterson, academic letter. Richard Norman Peterson. Kevin Petrusa. Jan Peter Penz. Tommy Pugliani. Nick Polzine. Heather Marie Prout, academic letter. Vinnie Radke. Alicia Margaret Ramirez. Jonelle Marie Randa. Joanna Marie Rassinen. Michael R. Reed. Andrew Rick. Seth Riley. Katie Marie Robillard. Janelle Lee Ronning. Luke Dowdy Rosas. Kelby Rose. Kelly Marie Sager, academic letter. Joshua Kane Salgi. Julia C. Solom, academic letter. Brian Santee. David Schmang. Justin Daniel Schultz. Stacy May Schweiger. Catherine Amanda Shaw. William Emil Simmons, Jr. Matthew Craig Smith. Timothy David Solomon. Brianna Raylene Soche, academic letter. Jesse Charles Souffle. Sarah June Spihar, academic letter. Tyler Joe Stenium. Angela Marie Stenhammer, academic letter. Nanette M. Stiller. Peter Cran Stradioti. Lynn Sun, academic letter. Amy Jo Sundin. Kelly Teresa Sundin. Brandon Allen Swanson. Dixie Tisha Schweitzer, academic letter. Teresa Ann Semzak. Amy Jo Tallarico. Matt Ralph Talbot. Alana Lynn Taylor. Gabrielle Desiree Taylor, academic letter. Michael Lee Taylor, Jr. Phil John Turway. Marissa Marie Teal. Kelly Kimberly Thomas. Jennifer Sarah Thompson. Michael Kenneth Throw, academic letter. Amber Nicole Torgerson, academic letter. Daniel Arnold Travis. I can't read his handwriting. Alan J. Trevoranis. Richard Allen Turner. Cheryl Lee Upton, academic letter. Kara Ann View. Brian David Vokovan. Chris Wark. Robert Donald Wortman. Joel Robert Waters. Heather Nicole Waugh. Andrea Louise West. Ira Matthew Whitmore. Melinda K. Williams, academic letter. Shelley Ruth Windsor. Alice Zampoli. Lindsay Lee Zempel. David Zibech. Matthew Garrett Mobley. Lacey Ann Farmer, academic letter. Tara Marie Shapersky, academic letter.
And that is the class of 2002. And now our class speakers will give the response for the class of 2002. Invite them up here. Do you have the magic words? Yeah. Okay.
Classmates, please stand. Symbolic of our scholastic achievement,
It is customary to move our tassel from right to left to signify that we are now high school graduates.
We will now demonstrate our graduation by moving our tassels.
Combined Concert Choir and Faculty Chorus will now sing the traditional Halls of Denfeld, the alma mater. The words are printed on the back of your program. Would the graduates and alumni please stand as the alma mater is sung? Graduates? You want the graduates down? Yep. We'll let the graduates go back and join the other graduates. On behalf of Denfeld High School, I would like to thank all of you for sharing this evening with us. I'd like to thank board members, superintendent, other platform guests, staff, and all of you for coming here tonight. Congratulations to the class of 2002. You are now alumni. Please allow our graduates to leave the auditorium before you exit. Graduates, you may now start the recessional. Thank you again for being here tonight. Same time next year.
Another year.
Yeah, another year. Thanks, Diane.